I really agree with that idea that we should be supporting people on a kind of healing journey, and they can use these flexibly as tools rather than saying, well, we're going to stick with exactly the same old medical system. You're going to receive the drug in this very specific, situation, and it's only going to be, go through the big pharma route. That seems like an
Mm.
unwise kind of. There's a lot to learn from psychedelics, especially when it comes to kind of honoring the and financially kind of compensating the kind of the indigenous wisdom traditions that gave us these practices in the first place, instead of just saying turn a blind eye to all that and let's just push forward with the old way of doing business.
Absolutely. Which again, that has roots in capitalism. It's like, let's go and, have our individual experiences and extract resources from um, ceremonies from indigenous folks. And then let's figure out how to package it and market it in just where my geography is in the States. And let's figure out how to scale it, mass produce it, and that is just not the way. And I think I heard a medicine person say one time that when we take these medicines out of their cultural context, that they can lose its power, they can lose its properties. And I think that we need to really be mindful and respectful of the medicines too. So it's not just about respecting the communities who have been doing medicine work for centuries and have passed it down through their oral traditions, and who have spent decades learning about the medicine work, that it's important for us to honor and respect those communities, as well as honor, respect the plants, and even ask permission for the plants to be used in this way, because there's just a lot of considerations that are important as we continue to move in mainstreaming psychedelics. And I also, let me just name, the term psychedelics is, what do I want to say, is an interesting one because, I forget who coined the term, but it wasn't, that's not an indigenous term. And so I think it's also important for us to be mindful about how we talk about this work too, because I think when we just say the word psychedelics, it kind of fixates the conversation to a particular place and time, to particular researchers, predominantly white, who are predominantly men, and it ignores the history that and the respect that indigenous folks are deserved of, that the plants are deserved of. It's like important to just name that, just because we're using the word psychedelics, that's not where the history starts.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I think it was Humphrey Osmond was but either way, he was kind of Western psychiatrist and who coined the term. And would you favor a term like plant medicine, maybe like a more descriptive term that isn't tied to any particular? No?
I think about this all the time, and um, shout outs to the Changemaker crew, who really introduced me into the conversation. But I don't, to answer your question, I don't have a word or a phrase that I think is a better fit, but at least or something that I tend to come back to as I'm talking about this work is medicine work, because I think that it respects the kind of medicalized and kind of setting that I operate in, but it also, I think, implies the healing and the relational aspects of this medicine. So it's not just the medicine, but it's this bi-directional or kind of synergy between the medicine, the person, the sitter, the person who's holding space, spirit, that it's a combination of all of these elements that are working together to create this container.
Right. It's kind of like an empowered thing where you're doing the work rather than just receiving the medicine passively, I guess. And so also, you've also been involved with psilocybin work, right? The psilocybin trials at Yale.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yes, I received that training. Whew. Oh, dates are a little interesting for me since we're in the quarantine, but I feel like that was 2019. So yeah, I received training then, but I did not see a participant in that clinical work, but was still an active participant or an active study therapist in the supervision process and in the discussion as well.